This never gets old. So much fun. So, just a thought. Where does this go? What happens to this? As this is burning and it goes through the piece of paper, you can see the bits of ash falling off. So, like the paper is slowly kind of disappearing, right? But as it disappears, there's some left over. There's some ash left over, and we're gonna let this burn out. And I'm trying to collect as much of the ash as I can on a piece of paper below it, so we can kind of compare what we started with and what we're ending with. And so we'll accelerate through this, and then we'll do a little comparison. So here it is. Here's our remnants. Here's what's left over. I think it's a pretty safe bet to say that the piece of paper is much bigger than the ashes. The ashes are the scant remains of what the piece of paper used to be. So what happened to all of that paper? Where did it go? For us to understand what's going on here, let's chat paper for a second. Paper is made from trees, but kind of a specific part of the trees. So what gives a tree or any other plant its strength, its ability to even stand up, is its cell wall. If you remember, plants have both a cell membrane that goes around the cell and a cell wall that goes around it. The cell wall is very thick, very rigid, it's very strong. It's made of one of two materials, cellulose or lignin. Cellulose, the chemical formula C6H10O5, is the main component of the cell wall for green plants. So when you're looking at like a leaf, the cell wall of the leaf cells is comprised mostly of cellulose. Woody plants also have cell walls, but it's made from something like lignin. There's several different forms of lignin, but just an example, lignin has the chemical formula of C11H14O4, and those are the things that are actually burning when you burn the paper. So think about your combustion chemical reactions. When we learned last time, you're taking something made of carbon and you set it on fire in the presence of oxygen, and what you get out of that is carbon dioxide and water. Let's look carefully at the chemical equation for combustion, let's see if we can sort this out. Any chemical that's comprised of two key elements, carbon, C, and hydrogen, H, they're called hydrocarbons, non-surprisingly. So hydrocarbons are the things that we burn. And when we burn them, again, we burn them in the presence of oxygen, and what they produce is carbon dioxide and water. So when you're burning cellulose and lignin, the main components of paper, they're both hydrocarbons. Cellulose and lignin both have carbon and hydrogen in them. You burn them, and what you get out of it is carbon dioxide and water. So that's only when you have a perfect burn. If it's not perfectly burning, some of those carbons, those hydrocarbons, can just break down into smaller hydrocarbons, and that's the majority of what ash is. It's the leftover hydrocarbons that didn't quite burn hot enough and didn't get to convert completely into carbon dioxide and water. So for example, cellulose, C6H10O5, if under partial burning conditions, so enough heat it could chemically react to break down into C3H5O3, something like that. So it didn't quite make it to the carbon dioxide in the water. So kind of take home from this that I really want you guys to start thinking about is that the molecules on the left, the lignin or the cellulose and the oxygen, they're not disappearing. The paper, the cellulose in the paper, isn't disappearing. It's just simply being converted. It's changing into something else. So while if you think back to the original piece of paper that I burned, and we looked at the ashes sitting on top of the piece of paper, there was so much less material there, but the mass actually didn't go anywhere. Some of the mass fell down as ash, but the rest of the mass just went up into the air as carbon dioxide. Now, air is quite light, but rest assured it does have mass. So those hydrocarbons, again, they didn't disappear. They simply converted from one form into another. This takes us to a key learning objective in chemistry. For you to really understand what's going on in chemistry, you have to understand this one really important fundamental part of chemistry, and that's called the law of conservation of mass. The law of conservation of mass states that matter is never created or destroyed. It's simply changed. It's changed from one form into another. So in the case of paper, you're going from solid paper and gaseous oxygen, and they're chemically combining to form gaseous carbon dioxide and gaseous water. None of the mass is actually lost. Again, when you look at that chemical equation, you've got carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen on the left side, and they're converting into carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen on the right side of the equation. None of it's being lost. The stuff that goes into an equation is the stuff you get out of it. And that should make sense. Like when you chemically combine things, like you're not actually creating something new, you're just rearranging the molecules you have. So the law of conservation of mass, when we think about our paper, basically states that paper didn't go anywhere. It wasn't created or destroyed. The paper just, the molecules in the paper just simply rearranged themselves. Under the right conditions, the lignin and the cellulose broke apart into carbon dioxide and water. The law of conservation of mass. Again, that has so much significance. For you to really understand chemical reactions, you have to understand that main point, that matter is just changing. It's just changing form. It's altering itself. But the matter is still there. The matter remains the same. So, law of conservation of mass. Gotta wrap your head around that one, and the rest of chemistry starts making sense. I'm gonna end the video by posing a question for you to think about, because I really want you to start mulling this one over. Consider a piece of wood. Where does that wood come from? Really? Like imagine a tree trunk, and if I were holding a chunk of wood in my hands right now, where did that wood come from? How did it get there? So, I want you guys to mull that one over. We're going to chat more about it later. Quick recap. The law of conservation of mass states that matter is not created or destroyed. It simply changes form from one arrangement to another arrangement. That was really the main message for today. And I want you to think about that tree trunk question, because really it has some important significance, and if you can really wrap your mind around where that tree trunk came from, you'll probably start to understand the law of conservation of mass. Thanks for watching. Till next time.